Anya Petrova clutched the thin, rough paper gown, her heart hammering against her ribs. This was supposed to be a routine checkup, a simple blood test for her new waitressing job at the downtown diner. So why was she in this cold, sterile procedure room? "It's just a standard vitamin infusion, honey," the nurse had said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. A standard part of our new hire physicals. Anya swallowed hard. Something felt wrong. This wing of the clinic was expensive. The walls were marble, the equipment new. It felt far beyond the scope of her new employer's basic insurance. But her mother needed her medication, and this 15-an-hour job was their last lifeline. She lay back on the table, staring at the blinding surgical light above, completely unaware that in the very next room, a decision was being made that would alter her life forever. Mere yards away, the frosted glass doors of the clinic's VIP wing slid open. Marcus Thorne did not wait. He arrived. A titan of commercial real estate, Marcus Thorne was a living storm. His cold Arctic blue eyes scanned the room, and every nurse and doctor in his path seemed to hold their breath. Dr. Evans, the clinic director, was visibly sweating. "Will this work?" Marcus's voice was sharp, cutting through the sterile silence. Beside him, his stunning fiancée, Isabella Vance, sighed dramatically, tapping her long, red fingernails on her $30,000 handbag. "Marcus, darling, is all this really necessary? This place is so beige, and it's our third time." "It's necessary," Marcus snapped, his gaze fixed on her. "This is the last sample. My legacy, my heir. I will not tolerate another failure." The word failure hung in the air, a clear and pointed accusation aimed directly at Isabella. This was their final IVF attempt. For Marcus, it was about securing his dynasty. For Isabella, it was about securing her access to the Thorne fortune. Back in Anya's room, the nurse returned. "All right, Anya Petrova, correct? Just relax. This won't take a moment. Dr. Evans will be right with you." In the corridor, Dr. Evans was fumbling with two charts. One was a thin manila folder labeled Petrova, Anya, pre-employment physical. The other was a thick, golden embossed binder labeled Thorne, Jurassic Procedure 5B. He was studying the Thorne file when Marcus himself stormed out of the VIP lounge. "Doctor, my time is valuable. Get this done now." Dr. Evans jumped, startled. The charts flew from his hands, scattering papers across the polished floor. "Yes, Mr. Thorne." "Right away, sir." He scrambled, gathering the papers in a frantic haste. And in that panic, he shoved Anya's simple ID sheet into the golden Thorne binder and fatally slid Isabella's complex procedure order into Anya's flimsy folder. He didn't notice the switch. He burst into Anya's room, his face damp with perspiration. "Doctor?" Anya asked, her voice small. This is just a blood test, right?" Dr. Evans glanced at the chart in his hand. It now read, "Insemination Procedure, Sample 7X. He was flustered. His mind was only on Marcus Thorne. He assumed this Petrova must be another high-profile patient he hadn't been briefed on. "Ah, yes. And a minor uterine health screening. And a vital infusion. Standard procedure," he lied, just wanting to get this over with. Anya felt a sharp pinch, then a strange, cold sensation. It was over in minutes. "That's it?" she asked, sitting up. She felt dizzy. "That's it," Dr. Evans said, not meeting her eyes. "You can get dressed. The nurse will take your blood sample in the next room." He bolted from the room, leaving Anya feeling strange and violated, but she pushed the feeling down. She needed this job. She couldn't afford to make trouble. Dr. Evans strode into the VIP procedure room, holding the golden binder. "Mr. Thorne, Ms. Vance, we are ready." Finally, Isabella sniffed, lying back on the table. Dr. Evans opened the binder, and his blood turned to ice. Staring back at him was the intake sheet. "Petrova Anya, pre-employment physical." He looked at the empty, sterile tray delivered from the lab. He looked at the tag, Sample 7X used. Then he looked at the door to the procedure room he had just left. Oh, God. No. Well, Isabella demanded impatiently. Get on with it. I have a fitting at noon. Dr. Evans swallowed, his throat dry. He couldn't tell them. He couldn't tell Marcus Thorne. He would be ruined. His practice, his life, it was over. He had to lie. There has been a complication, he stammered, his mind racing. The deep freeze unit, a last-minute malfunction, when we began the thawing process. The sample. It was non-viable. It didn't survive. A deathly silence filled the room. Isabella's first reaction was a flicker of something, relief. But Marcus Thorne's face became a mask of cold, controlled fury. He rose slowly from his chair, his 6'3" frame radiating menace. Non-viable, he repeated, the words a low growl. You are telling me my final chance at an heir, the last sample of my DNA, was destroyed. By a malfunction? It's a terrible rare occurrence, Mr. Thorne. I am so sorry. Sorry, Marcus whispered. We'll not cut it. He walked over to the trembling doctor, his blue eyes as dead as a glacier. You just cost me my legacy. I will be investigating this, personally. And if I find out that malfunction has a human name, I will destroy you. He turned and stalked out of the room. Isabella scrambled to follow, her face a mask of fake sympathy. Marcus, darling, wait. Dr. Evans collapsed against the wall, hyperventilating. He had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Miles away, Anya Petrova rode the bus home, her hand pressed against her lower stomach, a strange, lingering cramp making her feel uneasy. She shook her head, blaming it on nerves. She had no idea that the vitamin infusion she'd received was, in fact, the last hope of a billionaire dynasty, and that a ticking time bomb had just been planted in her life. 6 weeks passed. The memory of the cold, sterile clinic room had faded, replaced by a more immediate, nauseating reality. Anya Petrova was sick. Every morning she would run to the cramped bathroom of the diner, vomiting until her eyes watered, the smell of frying bacon and old coffee making her stomach churn. You okay, kid? Jenna, the head waitress, asked, handing her a wet paper towel. You've been green all week. If you're coming down with the flu, you can't be working the grill. I'm fine, Anya lied, wiping her mouth. Just something I ate. Her mind frantically searched for an answer, landing on the one memory that didn't make sense. The cold room. The pinch. The vitamin infusion. Could they have? No, that was insane. That was the stuff of movies. She sobbed, sinking to the cold tile floor, alone and utterly confused. She was pregnant, and she had no idea how. Across the city, in a penthouse office that overlooked the entire skyline, Marcus Thorne stared at the city lights, his face a mask of cold fury. The freezer logs are clean, Mr. Thorne, his head of security reported, standing stiffly. No malfunctions, no power surges. According to the data, the unit was in perfect working order. Marcus turned slowly, his blue eyes like chips of ice. So, Dr. Evans lied to me. It appears so, sir. I don't employ men who appear to find things, Marcus said, his voice dangerously low. I employ men who find them. You're fired. The man flinched and left. Marcus picked up his phone and dialed a number not listed in any directory. Huxley, he said. I have a situation at the Westlake Fertility Clinic. I need you to find out what happened on May 10th. I want security logs, access codes, and a full background check on a Dr. Evans. Find out who he talked to, who he owes money to, and everyone else who was in that wing. I want to know who he sold my sample to. Huxley was fast. He was a ghost who specialized in the secrets of the rich. 3 days later, he placed a thin file on Marcus's glass desk. You were right to be suspicious, Mr. Thorne, Huxley said, his voice flat. There was no malfunction. Dr. Evans panicked. There was a chart mix-up. A mix-up, Marcus repeated, his lip curling. There were 2 procedures in that time block. Miss Vance's, and this one. Huxley slid a photo across the desk. A young, hopeful-looking woman. Anya Petrova, 22, Waitress at the 4th Street Diner. Pre-employment physical. Marcus stared at the photo. A physical and the lab logs cross-referenced with the security keycard data show that your sample 7X, was signed out, taken to Ms. Petrova's procedure room and administered. Dr. Evans used Ms. Vance's chart on Ms. Petrova and vice versa. By the time he realized his mistake, your sample was gone. He lied to you to cover his own incompetence. Marcus's mind worked like a cold steel trap. He wasn't relieved. He was enraged. He saw the motive instantly. Her background, he demanded. Huxley flipped a page. Lives in a 1-bedroom walk-up in the Bronx, no father. Her mother, Irina Petrova, has stage 3 ovarian cancer. The medical bills are astronomical. Marcus slammed his fist on the desk. There, the motive. Sir? Huxley asked. It looks like genuine incompetence. A terrified doctor made a mistake. I don't believe in mistakes, Huxley, Marcus roared. I believe in motives. A poor waitress with a dying mother just happens to be in the right place at the right time to get impregnated with the last heir of a billionaire. She planned it. She must have. She seduced Evans, bribed a nurse. I don't care how. She's a gold digger. A very, very clever one. He grabbed his coat. Get the car. I'm going to pay this. Anya Petrova. A visit. Anya was on her small, worn sofa crying into the phone, pretending to her mother that everything was fine. No, Mama, the new job is great. Yes, I'm just tired. A loud, aggressive banging echoed through her apartment so powerful it shook the thin walls. It wasn't a knock. It was a demand. She wiped her tears, her heart pounding. She opened the door. Marcus Thorne stood there, flanked by 2 towering bodyguards. He wore a $10,000 suit that looked more expensive than her entire apartment. His cold blue eyes swept over her, then scanned her small, clean room with utter disgust. Can I help you? She whispered. He pushed past her, invading her small space. The bodyguard stayed at the door, blocking her only exit. Where is it? He demanded. Where is what? Please, I don't know who you are. You have to leave. The embryo, Marcus snarled, turning to face her. My heir, the one you stole. Anya's blood ran cold. She instinctively put a hand over her stomach. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me, he hissed, stepping closer. She had to crane her neck to look up at him. The clinic, Dr. Evans, the infusion. You thought you were clever, didn't you? Find a desperate doctor, steal the sample of a billionaire, and set yourself up for life. The sick mother. It's the perfect sob story. Tears streamed down Anya's face. She was shaking. No, I didn't know. I thought it was a vitamin shot. It was real? It's yours? Stop lying, he roared, and she flinched, terrified. You have no idea who you're dealing with. You have stolen the single most valuable asset of the Thorne dynasty. You stole my child? I didn't steal anything, she sobbed, collapsing onto the sofa. I've never. Save it, Marcus sneered, looking down at her, his expression devoid of any pity. This ends one of 2 ways. You give me my child, or I will use every ounce of my power to put you in a prison cell for fraud, extortion, and theft of genetic material. Your choice. Anya stared at him, her entire body shaking, the sobs caught in her throat. Prison, I didn't do anything. I didn't steal. I didn't even know. You have to believe me. Belief is a luxury I don't have, Marcus said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. He reached into his designer suit jacket and pulled out a long leather-bound folder. He tossed it onto her small, wobbly coffee table. It landed with a heavy, final thud. That is a contract, Anya flinched. What? What contract? It's simple, he said, pacing her tiny living room like a caged panther. You are currently carrying my child. My only child. It is the single most valuable thing in my world. You, on the other hand, are nothing to me. But you are for the next 9 months the vessel. So here are the terms. He stopped, towering over her. You will come with me. Now. You will live in my home under my supervision 24/7. My doctors will monitor you. My security will watch you. You will want for nothing until the child is born. And after? Anya whispered, her eyes wide with dread. After the birth, he continued, his voice a blade, you will sign over any and all parental rights. You will be given a one-time payment and you will sign a non-disclosure agreement so ironclad that if you ever breathe my name or the child's, you will spend the rest of your life in court. Then, you will disappear. You will cease to exist. Do you understand? Anya looked from the contract to his merciless face. No, she said, a new strength rising through her terror. No, I won't. This is a baby, not an asset. It's mine too. You can't buy a child. I'd rather go to prison. I won't sign it. Marcus's lip curled into a cold, thin smile. It was the first time his expression had changed. I thought you might say that. He pulled a second file from his jacket. This one was thinner. Irina Petrova, your mother. Stage 3 ovarian cancer. A very aggressive, very expensive to treat form. I see she's on the wait list for the experimental Cytal 9 drug trial. A pity. The wait list is over 2 years long. She'll be dead in 6 months. Anya felt the blood drain from her face. What does my mother have to do with this? Everything, Marcus said, tossing the file onto the contract. Sign the agreement, and your mother gets the best medical care in the world. 10 minutes later, Anya was escorted from her small, warm, life-filled apartment, leaving her entire world behind. She was driven in a black, silent Maybach to a part of the city she had only ever seen in magazines. The car passed through a set of massive 20-foot-high iron gates. The mansion wasn't a home. It was a fortress of glass and cold white stone overlooking the dark, churning ocean. It was beautiful, and it was the most terrifying place she had ever seen. She was shown to a guest room that was larger than her entire apartment. It was sterile, all white and silver, with a window that didn't open. She was left alone for hours, too numb to cry. Later that evening, the door opened. It wasn't Marcus. It was his fiancée, Isabella Vance. Isabella, draped in red silk, glided into the room, a look of pure, venomous curiosity on her face. So, she said, her voice a purr, you're the one. The little gutter rat who actually pulled it off. I have to admit I'm almost impressed. Anya wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know what you mean. I didn't. Oh, please. Isabella laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. Spare me the innocent virgin act. You saw an opportunity and you took it. You succeeded where I failed. Her eyes narrowed. But you need to understand something. You are just an incubator. You are a thing. Marcus may have brought you here, but this is my house, and I don't like infestations. She walked over to a small table where a servant had left a tray of tea. Marcus thinks he needs this. Heir, she said, pouring a cup, the steam rising. But he's a man. He's sentimental. I, on the other hand, am practical. She turned, holding the delicate, steaming porcelain cup. You see this baby? It's an obstacle. It's a complication to my wedding, to my inheritance, and I hate complications. She walked toward Anya, who shrank back against the headboard. Oh, don't be so frightened, Isabella cooed. We're going to be spending so much time together. She smiled and then, with a flick of her wrist, accidentally spilled the scalding hot tea directly onto Anya's hands and lap. Anya screamed, scrambling away as the burning liquid soaked through her thin clothes. Oh dear, Isabella gasped, her hand flying to her mouth in mock horror. Clumsy me. You really should be more careful, darling. In a house this big, accidents happen all the time. Things are so easily lost. She placed the empty cup on the tray and glided out of the room, leaving Anya sobbing in pain and terror. Down the hall, Marcus Thorne watched his fiancée walk away, a smug, satisfied smirk on her face. He had been on his way to his study when he heard the scream. He looked at Isabella's retreating back. and then at Anya's open door, where he could hear the sound of pained, terrified sobs. For the first time, a cold, unfamiliar splinter of doubt entered his mind. He had seen Anya's face in the apartment. It was terror. He had just seen Isabella's face in the hall. It was malice. He stood in the shadows, his face a mask of stone. Something was wrong. And Marcus Thorne always found the truth. Marcus stood in the shadows of the marble hall, the sound of Anya's pained sobs echoing from the guest room. He looked at the retreating figure of Isabella, a woman he thought he knew, a woman who had just displayed a casual, smiling cruelty that chilled him to the bone. His suspicion, once a splinter, now became a jagged spike. He had built his empire by reading people, by separating desperation from greed. Anya's terror was real. Isabella's horror at the accident was a lie. He returned to his study and made a call. "Huxley, I have a new target. Isabella Vance. I want to know every call she's made, every dollar she's spent in the last 6 months. And I want you to find Dr. Evans, the one from the clinic. Find him." The next 2 months were a quiet Cold War. Isabella's attacks became more insidious. A heavy Persian rug at the top of the stairs was accidentally left loose. A bottle of what Anya thought was prenatal vitamins was mistakenly switched with a bottle of harsh diuretics. A door to a cold balcony was left open in the dead of night, leaving Anya to wake up shivering. But in every instance, Anya survived. She became fiercely protective, her hands constantly cradling her growing stomach. She was no longer just a terrified victim. She was a mother, and Marcus watched. He saw it all. He saw Anya double-checking the labels on her food. He saw her avoiding the grand staircase. He saw the genuine, primal fear in her eyes, and he contrasted it with the cold, watchful patience in Isabella's. Then, the night of the annual Thorne Foundation Gala arrived. The mansion was transformed, glittering with hundreds of the city's elite. Isabella was in her element, draped in diamonds, the perfect hostess, her arm linked possessively through Marcus's. "Isn't it a perfect night, darling?" she purred, kissing his cheek for the cameras. Marcus's eyes were like ice. "Perfect," he said, scanning the crowd. Anya had been ordered to stay in her room, but feeling a wave of desperate loneliness, she had crept to the upper landing of the grand staircase, looking down at the sea of beautiful people, feeling like a ghost in her own prison. Isabella saw her, excusing herself from a conversation. She glided up the stairs, her face a mask of rage. "What are you doing?" she hissed, her voice a venomous whisper, grabbing Anya's arm. "I told you to stay hidden." "You're a dirty little secret, not part of the main event. I just wanted some air," Anya stammered, trying to pull away, her hand instinctively going to her belly. "You wanted to show off, didn't you?" Isabella sneered, her eyes glittering with a madness Marcus had never seen. "You think you've won? You think he'll choose you? You are nothing. Please," Anya begged, backing away. "I don't want any trouble. It's too late." Isabella shrieked, her composure finally breaking. "You ruined everything. My wedding, my plans. All of it. This ends tonight." She lunged, not at Anya, but at her stomach, shoving her with all her strength toward the open staircase. Anya screamed, her hands flying out as she lost her balance, toppling backward over the railing. "Anya!" A collective gasp rose from the crowd below, but Marcus was already moving. He had been watching. He had seen Isabella ascend the stairs. He had seen the look on her face. He sprinted, leaping the last 3 steps, and caught Anya in his arms just as she fell, her momentum sending them both crashing to the landing, safe from the 30-foot drop. The music stopped. The mansion was silent. Marcus held the terrified, sobbing Anya in his arms. He looked up the stairs at Isabella, who was frozen, her face a grotesque mask of shock and rage. He gently helped Anya to her feet. "Stay right here," he whispered. Then he walked down to the main floor, took the microphone from the stunned band leader, and faced his guests. "My apologies for the interruption." His voice boomed through the hall, cold and clear. It seems we have a small housekeeping matter to attend to. Marcus, darling, she slipped. Isabella cried from the landing. She's so clumsy. Joyce, be quiet, Isabella, Marcus commanded. The authority in his voice was absolute. For the past 2 months I have been conducting a private investigation. I was told my last IVF sample was non-viable. A malfunction. He looked around the room. That was a lie. He pointed to Anya, who stood on the landing, pale and trembling. This is Anya Petrova. She is, by a medical error, carrying my child. A wave of whispers. Isabella smiled, a cruel, triumphant smile. See, he knows. She's a gold digger. She planned. The second lie, Marcus cut her off, his voice dropping, was who was responsible. Huxley. A side door opened. Huxley, his impassive investigator, walked in. And with him, held between 2 security guards, was a sweating, terrified Dr. Evans. Dr. Evans here has just signed a full confession, Marcus said. The chart mix-up wasn't an accident. It was a distraction. He was paid $200,000 to intentionally destroy my sample. He was supposed to tell me it failed so I would have no heir. But who? A guest whispered. Marcus turned, his gaze fixing on his fiancée. He was paid by the one person who wanted my money but not my child. He was paid by Isabella Vance, the crowd gasped. Isabella's face went white. Lies, he's lying. Marcus, tell them he's lying. He's not, Marcus said. The $200,000 transfer from your offshore account was quite clear. Anya's impregnation was an accident. A beautiful, unexpected accident that ruined your entire plan. You didn't just try to kill my child tonight, Isabella. You tried to kill it before it was ever conceived. No, Isabella shrieked, lunging for him, but 2 police officers who had entered with Huxley intercepted her. You're a bastard, Marcus, she screamed as they cuffed her. She's a waitress. She's more of a woman than you will ever be, Marcus said coldly. Get her out of my house. As Isabella was dragged away, still screaming, Anya suddenly cried out, clutching her stomach. Marcus, the baby, I think. It's coming, now. The rest was a blur. The ambulance. The hospital. The bright lights. But this time Anya wasn't alone. Marcus held her hand, his face no longer cold, but etched with a raw, terrifying, and profound concern. Hours later, the small, healthy cry of a baby boy filled the room. Anya was exhausted, but she was smiling. Marcus was staring at the small bundle in her arms, his eyes for the first time warm. He's perfect, Marcus whispered. Anya looked up at him, tears in her eyes. The contract, Marcus. He reached into his jacket, pulled out the leather-bound document she had signed in her apartment. He didn't just tear it. He ripped it into a dozen small pieces. There is no contract, he said, his voice thick. I was a fool. I was blind. You are not a vessel. You are a warrior. He took her free hand, the one that wasn't holding their son. My mother is dead. My fiancé is in jail. This is my family now. Anya Petrova. Would you do me the honor of really becoming my family? Marry me. Anya looked from his earnest, open face to the child they shared. Her life had been turned upside down by a mistake. But it had led her to this. She cried, but for the first time in her life they were tears of pure joy. Yes, she whispered. Yes, sometimes a single mistake can break your life. But other times it can break you open, leading you to a truth you never expected. What we just saw is a reminder that destiny can be found in the most unexpected places, and that true love can grow from the most impossible beginnings. Before you go, if you believe in karmic justice and unexpected happy endings, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful life stories.